Hi everyone, welcome back to our Module 4 videos. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Objective 5 within Module 4. And in this, I'm going to summarize how we can connect to databases and how we can extract data from databases. All right, so we're going to be using tools like Microsoft Excel and Tableau, and we're going to connect to a database using these data analysis tools, because that's what Excel and Tableau are. They're data analysis tools. We're going to use these tools to connect to a database and pull data out of the database. All right, so we're going to be following what we call the extract, transform, and load. Extract, transform, load, the ETL model for getting data and accessing it. All right, so typically we start by extracting, which means accessing or connecting to a data source like a relational database. And then once we connect or access the database, we probably need to transform our data in some way, such as, removing duplicate records. Sometimes databases have the same exact record in the database 2 or 3 times, and we need to remove a record. Sometimes we have records in the database where there are fields missing. So maybe we have a transaction data set, and within that transaction data set, we have some transactions where the quantity of the product sold and the amount of the dollar amount of the product sold is just missing, right? And so there's a record in the database that doesn't have any useful information, and we have to delete some of those records that have no useful information. So we call this process transforming the data. Another example of transforming the data, maybe you have a transaction data set and it tells you the number of units sold and it tells you the price per unit, but it doesn't tell you the total value of a sale. To get that, you have to multiply the quantity by the price per unit, right? The number of units times the price per unit. And so part of the transformation process might be creating a new variable that calculates total price, okay? And then the last portion is loading. And so loading ensures that after the data has been transformed, you have loaded it, you have opened it in the appropriate data analysis tool like Excel or Tableau. All right, so in the next video, I'm going to show you how we extract data, or an example of how we can extract data using Microsoft Excel. All right, so I'll see you in just a moment.
Hey guys, this is Tom. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you how to extract data from a data source in Excel. So if you open Excel and you go to up top here, the data ribbon, along the ribbon there's this data tab. And to the left here is a button that says Get Data. Now it's going to look like we're opening a file, like the way you would normally open an Excel file. But what's different about this process is we're going to open the file in a way that we do not change the original data that's stored in the original file. So if we use this Get Data button, there's lots of different ways to import data or connect to data or extract data from different sources. So you could access a database that's stored in Microsoft Access, for example. You could access data that's stored in the SAP database, or some of these other sources from online sources. I happen to have this database stored on my computer, so I'm just going to say From File, and it's an Excel workbook. And this will open a window asking me where the source is. Locate the source on my computer. So this particular file is something that I used in my intermediate accounting class in fall 2020. So I had my students complete a data analytics project, and this file here contained the raw data for the project. So I click Import, and now Excel is connecting to this database. And now Excel is saying within this database there's three tables. There's accounts receivable data, there's sales data, there's shipping data. And which of these three do you want to connect to? So I'm going to say here, let's open the table containing accounts receivable data. And I'm going to click load. And so now my accounts receivable data has been added to my Excel window here. And what's different than just opening the original file is that because I connected to the data through this get data button, this extract data button within Excel, I now have a copy of the data that I can manipulate without affecting the original source of the data. So if somebody else wants to use this data down the road, the original data has been unaltered. And now I have a copy on my local computer where I can manipulate things and do things with this data. I can move on to the next step of transforming data. Okay, so this video briefly introduces you to the idea of extracting data from a data source. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to connect to data or extract data in Tableau. So I happen to be using a Tableau online software. So you can have Tableau installed on your computer, or you can access Tableau on an online site. So I'm using the web version of Tableau. So I'm going to walk you through how I extract data in Tableau. So on the website here there is a button that says create, and so I am going to create a new Tableau workbook. This will just take a minute to open up, and here's the Tableau interface, and now it's asking me to extract or connect to a data source. So I'm going to use the same data source that I used in the Excel video where I showed you how to extract data in Excel. We can do the same thing. We can connect to that same data source but using Tableau as well. So I'm going to say my data is not on this web version of Tableau, it's actually stored on my computer. So I'm going to say upload from my computer, and I'm going to say I want the raw data file for which file? I think it was called raw data version 2. So I'm going to use this here, and I'm going to click open. And now I've connected to my data source. So now I have Tableau is telling me it's recognizing the sheets within Excel or within that Excel database, and I can now access this data. So I can drag the data into Tableau, and I can start manipulating it. And there's also this option here. This connection, this extraction that I've made is a live connection. So if the underlying source of the data starts changing, if the database updates, then Tableau will also update. And now that I'm connected, I can start doing things like adding data from my database into my Tableau sheet. So now I've dragged and I've dropped the customers that are listed in this database. I can also say what's the invoice number, right? So each customer has invoice numbers, and then if I want to know the invoice amount for each invoice, I can drag that in. And now I have a visual display within Tableau of, per invoice, what was the invoice amount. And so I'm able to do lots of different things by just connecting to that underlying database. And the underlying data that's stored in that Excel file hasn't been changed at all. All that I'm doing is accessing it, and then I'm able to analyze it without disturbing that underlying data. So this is a second example of how to extract data, this time in Tableau.